I am so excited for today's video. Let's get into it. So apparently I'm a reader now. That's great. Okay, really quick before we continue the video, I just want to apologize if you see my jacket change colors. I have tried fixing it for hours and I can't figure out what it is. I thought that it was color grading, but it turns out it was like a video issue. So I don't know. I apologize if it distracts you, but thank you so much for watching and let's get on with it. Definitely one of my goals to prioritize actually reading more, and I did not expect it to turn into this, and I am so in love. It is like my new hobby. It is becoming a part of my personality. I literally crave going to the bookstore. I crave finishing my book or starting a new one, and I'm just so excited to be talking to you guys today about the books that I've read so far this year. So if you are new here, welcome. Stop, please. If you are new here, hi, I'm Sam. I normally do lifestyle Disney type of content. If you are not new here, welcome back. And if you do end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. I think I'm just gonna start from the beginning, like what I read in January, and then I'm gonna try to go in somewhat of chronological order. And I'm going to tell you guys what I'm currently reading and then what I'm about to start reading. We have a nice cup of decaf coffee. I am going to tell you the book, give you my non-spoiler review. Please don't put any spoilers in the comments. I want to keep this a spoil-free place to keep it fun for everyone. And then I'm going to rate it out of 5 stars. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the very first book that I read in 2022 was Atomic Habits. This is our physical copy. I'm not sure where the cover went. I listened to the audiobook and it was just incredible, but I do actually want to go back through the physical copy and actually take notes and underline and all of that fun stuff. This is one of the best, if not the best, self-help books I've ever read. He gives you a total guideline on how to build better habits and destroy bad ones. When you really listen, he changes your perspective and he just does a great job at doing it. It's not complicated, it's super straightforward and very easy to follow. Highly recommend. I give this a 5 out of 5 stars. I would give this a 6-star review. So a lot of these you guys are going to see were audiobooks, and then I kind of transitioned into physical books. Now I still listen to audiobooks. Just started one today. So the second book that I listened to this year was The Ride of a Lifetime, Lessons Learned from 15 Years as CEO of the Walt Disney Company by Robert Iger and Joel Lavelle. This book was phenomenal. I'm so happy that I read this book. I personally am a fan of Bob Iger. He was the previous CEO. I'm not really a big fan of the current one, but he was a phenomenal CEO in my opinion. And he went through a lot. If you are a fan of the Walt Disney Company, or if you are a leader or want to be a leader one day, I highly recommend this book. It definitely gives you an amazing insight of the Walt Disney World Company, but it also shows Bob Iger's journey and the way that he makes decisions as a leader, taking risks, but also taking care of his people. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars, but I would honestly rate this like 4.5, maybe. No, I think I keep it at 4 stars. I don't know. I thought it was really good. I really liked it. Highly recommend. The next book that I listened to this year was Get Out of Your Own Way, Overcoming Self-Behavior by Mark Goulston and Philip Goldberg. So this book was pretty good. It was pretty straightforward. It definitely changes your perspective on certain things, especially regarding your parents. But other than that, like, I feel like I didn't take away so much of it. Like, I feel like it wasn't like life-changing or anything. I still think it's a great book. I think that, you know, if you want to read something self-help, feel free, but it wouldn't be my first recommendation. So I give this one a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is another self-help. Can you tell that that's like normally what I listen to? It wasn't until after this that I got into fiction, but this next book was called Grace, Not Perfection, Embracing Simplicity and Celebrating Joy by Emily Lay. So this one definitely has a Christian undertone, so if you are religious, I do recommend this book. I actually really enjoyed it. It definitely felt like I was chatting with a friend. Like, she definitely made you feel very comforted, especially because I was listening to the audiobook, but I even feel like the book, it makes you feel like a friend is just telling you it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to not stress about the dishes and just enjoy the moment. And I feel like at the time I really needed that because I was trying to do so much at once, and I don't know, I just really liked it. It definitely felt like a warm hug from a girlfriend, and it was just like, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. So I give that one 4 out of 5 stars. I think I'll stay with that. Okay, the moment has come, the first physical book that I read this year. I think this is the book that turned me into a reader, because after this story, after the way that I sobbed when I stayed up late finishing it, everything changed. And that book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I know is kind of common that everyone hypes up this book. Listen, I'm still new to the whole reading thing. This was all over my social media, and I was not even on Book Talk. I was not on book Instagram, book YouTube, nothing. I was not following anything book related at the time. But I went into Barnes & Noble for something else and saw this, and I was like, let me just grab it. Let me try it. Let me try it out. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but I am a huge old Hollywood fan. Like, I think that is my favorite aesthetic. So when I found out that this was based in old Hollywood, I knew that I had to get it. It sounded mysterious and interesting, and it was not at all what I was expecting. Like, if you've read it, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just has such a crazy, wild, heartbreaking, empowering story. Like, this was one of the few books that I've read where whenever I put it down, I couldn't stop thinking about the characters. So it was incredible. I really enjoyed this book. So I was a little bit taken back in the beginning, but I'm so glad that I gave it a second chance and that I finished it, because I feel like this book changed my life. Like, and like, don't get me wrong, the story is amazing, but like I said, this was the book that got me really into fiction. Because like, I've read Harry Potter in the past, but other than that, I haven't really been into fiction. So happy, so grateful for this book. I gave this book a 5 out of 5. This would probably be a 6 out of 5. And the author, Taylor Jenkins Reid, I ended up reading a couple of her other books, which I'll mention in this video, but turns out I really like her writing, and I really like the stories that she writes and the characters that she makes, and I'm a big fan. So if you're looking for a good fiction book, this is it. One of my friends messaged me today. She's also a book person. She's been giving me, you know, recommendations, and she, I feel like, helped me get into reading. And she invited me today to start a book club, or like be a part of a book club. And so now I'm in a group chat with the girls, and they're just like, all I see is spooky wormies, and Sam is gonna read these and be like, how the hell did we get to spooky worms? I'm so excited for that. Yeah, I'm so much of a reader that I'm joining a book club. Who am I? What? Okay, let's continue. Okay, so after that book, I was binge watching The Home Edit on Netflix. Okay, so I actually listened to this book, which I know sounds odd because it's actually more of a guidebook. Like, there's so many photos and stuff, but they actually give you so much guidance that they don't mention in the show of how to organize certain areas, certain things. And so I really enjoyed listening to it, especially for like motivation. Oh, there's a note in here. Oh, sorry, it's me notes and leaves them random places. It's so cute. I love the show The Home Edit. If you are into organizing, if you are into cleaning, or if you need some organizing / cleaning motivation, definitely check out The Home Edit on Netflix. Clea and Joanna are incredible women who are so witty and so funny and just the best of friends, and they're great. Like, I love their energy. They're so good at what they do, and I just really got obsessed, and I definitely still want to do this to my apartment and maybe film it. Maybe we'll do that early next year. Highly recommend this book. I think I give this book a 5 out of 5 because I love the girls. I love their concept and the way that they organize and clean. I'm a huge fan of organizing. Big fan. Highly recommend. After that, I wanted to give the Villains series by Serena Valentino a chance, these ones. So I read 3 of them. I wasn't really a fan. Not great to me. I wanted to read something that would kind of help fill the void when I couldn't be at the parks, and like I was really missing Disney. And so I wanted to give this a try. I really love the covers. I think the covers are beautiful, but I listened to the audiobooks of these and I just wasn't impressed. I couldn't connect with it. There was nothing that was standing out to me. It kind of warped my way of how I saw the characters, and not really in a good way. Maybe that was the point, but I don't know. I just felt like the storylines were kind of weak and just not it just wasn't my favorite. So I gave all 3 of them 2 stars. I would say like 2.5 stars. They're not horrible, but they just weren't great for me. Like they weren't what I was expecting, couldn't resonate with them, wouldn't recommend, wouldn't read again. And I tried so hard to like them. Oh, I mean, I read 3 of them, so. The next book was another one of the books where whenever I put the book down, I guess I was listening to this one. Whenever I stopped listening, I could not stop thinking about the characters. Like I was itching to finish the story. And that is another by Taylor Jenkins Reid, Daisy Jones and the Six. Now, if you like the movie Almost Famous, you will probably really like this book. It's based in the 70s. It's about this rock and roll band. It starts with Daisy Jones and how she ended up being with the Six. And honestly, it's just written very cool. It's written from each person's perspective of the band. And I feel like because I'm so new to reading, have not read books like that. And because I was listening to the audiobook, each person was narrated by a different voice. So it literally just sounded like you were hearing tape recordings of an interview. Everyone had a different perspective. And so some things could have been remembered differently. It was really cool and one of my favorite books so far this year. So this was definitely a 5 out of 5 and would also be a 6 out of 5 for me. So this book took me a while to finish. It took me 2 months to finish. It was really cute, but not my favorite. And that is Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation. I liked it. It was cute. It was definitely like summery. The cover could fit the vibe. I get that. And I know that this book is really, really overhyped right now. And I think that was one of the reasons why I picked it up. I wanted like a summery read. It dragged out a lot. Like I feel like it could have been like cut down at least 25%. It was cute. It was fun to read at times, but I was still like not turned away from the author. Like I didn't think that it was so bad to where like I, wouldn't ever read the author again. I put this one on Goodreads as 3 out of 5 stars. I would say 3.5, maybe 4, nothing higher than that for me. So the next book that I listened to was kind of like an extension of this book, but it was The Home Edit Life, the complete guide to organizing absolutely everything at work, at home, and on the go. So it was basically just an extension of this. So I went ahead and just gave it a 5 stars, but I feel like that's like the best way to put it. Like they were just talking more and more in depth about organizing other things. I feel like I don't really need to go into more detail of that. If you really like the first book, check out the second. The next book that I read was, I listened to this one, was Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, because I was like, oh, I really love this author. Let me give this very aesthetically pleasing book a shot. And it's set in the 80s in Malibu, and which I thought was just kind of a cool vibe. I have obviously loved her other books so far, so I kind of had a really high expectation. I think that if I read this book first and then the other 2, I probably would have enjoyed it more, but because I had already read Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I was so in love with those stories that it was really hard to live up to. But overall, it was still a great story. She was so great at painting a picture of the scenery. I just kind of wish that you got more time with each character. I feel like I didn't fully get to connect with these characters because they weren't in the scene long enough. Like I feel like they kept kind of jumping. But I do like that she overlaps her characters in her books. Really cool. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5. I feel like that's pretty solid because I'm trying really hard to like save the 5-star ratings for the books that I'm like obsessed with. Oh my gosh, I loved this book. So the next book that I listened to was called A Sky Painted Gold. This was a random recommendation. I just mentioned it in a vlog not too long ago, but this was a random recommendation from a book video that I watched where I was like looking up books that kind of give you the same vibe as Gilmore Girls, and this book was on that list. I'm so happy that I listened to it because oh my gosh, it was just so good and cozy, and it's set in like, I want to say like the 20s or 30s. I loved the vibe. It kind of had like a Gatsby vibe to it with like a Gilmore wittiness from Gilmore Girls. It was very cozy, and I think that it was at the perfect speed. I really enjoyed the atmosphere, the time era. So on Goodreads, I rated this one a 5 out of 5. I really did like this book a lot. Okay, so the next one that I physically read was the fastest that I've ever read a physical book. I think that I finished this in 3 days, but like within a week. Like I think that I read like 2 days on one weekend and like a day or 2 the next. And I really enjoyed this type of writing and the fast pace of it being kind of mystery and kind of not a thriller, but kind of thrilling. The next book is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now, this was the first time that I've read something like this. I saw this in a YouTube video of someone reviewing it, and she compared it to the movie Knives Out, and she said that apparently it gets compared to that movie a lot, which I loved that movie. It was so good, and I definitely see why. It was really interesting to me. I personally loved it. I feel like I had fun reading it. I'm definitely gonna be picking up the second one soon, and then I think there's even a third one coming out soon. I don't even think I read the synopsis. I think that I just dove right in as soon as I heard that it was compared to Knives Out, and to me it was a real page turner. There were really good plot twists to me personally. However, I do kind of have, like, during the end when I finished the book, I did kind of feel like there was something missing, or maybe like something I missed. I don't know what it was. I just kind of had that, like, I don't know, it felt like something was missing. So for that reason, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. It's almost like a 4.5. I thought it was pretty good. Some people really liked it, some people really didn't, but I will absolutely be reading probably the rest of the series. The next book that I listened to was The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. I know a lot of people love Brené Brown. I think this was the first book of hers that I've really read. I could be wrong. I really liked it. I was actually recommended to read this a long time ago, and I don't know why I didn't, but I decided to pick it up after a friend read it, and well, actually I listened to it. It was a good vibe, and I feel like it was what I needed in the moment. But yeah, so I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really good. So the next book that I read, I finished yesterday, and I still have a couple books in between. I started it like a bit ago, but I finally finished it yesterday, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. So I am so glad that I read this after The People We Meet on Vacation, because this book was way better. Like, so much better. It was not at all what I was expecting based on the cover. Now, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but it was not at all what I was expecting. This was not the picture that I painted in my brain when I was reading the story. And I was trying to explain that to my boyfriend last night, and I was just like, yeah, no, it just has a totally different vibe. I'm so glad that I read this. I think this book was so cute and so much better and so much deeper and not darker, but more mysterious than I thought it was going to be. I put on Goodreads that this was a 4 out of 5 stars, but I would say this was a 4.5 for me. It kept me interested, and I kept wanting to finish it. I did kind of get to a point where I was like, okay, like I'm kind of almost ready to read something else. I don't know why that happens. I'm still new to the whole reading thing, but I am glad that I finished it, and I am glad that I really like set the vibe to finish like the majority of, like, I think I read almost the second half of the book yesterday, and I really enjoyed the characters, and I really related to the way that January thinks in it. So I also listened to The Mountain Is You, Transforming Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery by Brianna Wiest. Now, I have seen this all over Pinterest, all over TikTok, all over social media, and I knew that I wanted to read it, but I decided to listen to it. I will absolutely be purchasing the physical copy of it, that way I can highlight, underline, take notes, etc. But I thought that it was phenomenal. I can see why it has such high ratings. If you are really serious about making a change in your life, I think this book is a really great place to start, especially if you struggle with self-sabotage, as most people do. I cannot wait to go back through it and really just like take it all in. But this was like one of the best self-help books that I've read, like up there with Atomic Habits. So I give it a 5 out of 5, and I think I'll keep it there. And the last one that I have finished so far was such a weird, random find for me. I got an ad on my Instagram from the actress, what is her name? Rachel Brosnahan. She plays Mrs. Maisel on The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I really like her as an actress. She's witty, she's funny, and she like did the perfect ad of like, if you like mystery and this and that and blah blah blah, then like check out this audiobook. And I thought I was gonna have to pay for it, but it was included with my Audible membership, and it was like, it's a 2-hour, maybe 3 normal audiobook, but because I speed up the book, it wasn't that long. It was so interesting, and it was such a random find. I ended up listening to it while I was like cleaning up the house, and basically it's like you're listening in on phone calls. It's like sound bites from phone calls from this woman, like the main character, and these like celebrity men, and like the friendships that she creates with them. I liked this short story a lot, but I didn't feel connected or attached to any of the characters. It was really random, and I feel like it didn't really give you much substance, like at all. It was literally like you were listening to phone calls. Like, doesn't really give you an ending, doesn't really give you, where do we go from here? None of that. Just like really random phone calls. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. I wrote on Goodreads that 3 out of 5, if not 4 stars, but I don't think I give it a 4 stars. I think it's a 3 out of 5. With all that being said, the books that I'm currently reading are The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry by John Mark Comer. This is forward by John Ortberg. I think I'm saying that right. This book has been incredible so far. This will most likely be a 5 out of 5. For me, I'm halfway through it. I have been trying to read a little bit each day. This is more of a Christian book, so if you are religious, I really recommend this. Basically, it just talks about like how we need to slow down, and it kind of guides you through like how to do that and why you need to do that. And I just am really like resonating with it a lot, and I'm excited to finish it. But it's really cozy in the morning when I like grab my coffee, sit in the chair on the couch and read normally like 10 pages of it, because I'm trying to just like read it every day. I really like this book a lot. And then I just started listening to a book called Mary Jane. So far it is cracking me up. I just started it today. I'm listening to it on Audible. It's like set in the 70s, and this girl is babysitting for a family in the area, and kind of like babysitting or being the nanny for the summer. And it's just like a totally different world than what she's used to. I feel like she has grown up in a very strict household, and this house is very like go with the flow and just super like non-caring, I guess you could say. I'm on chapter 4 out of 16. But next, the next physical book that I want to read, and this one I'm just reading like a little bit every day. So I think next I'm either going to start the Kingdom Keepers, because I've had this book on my bookshelf for a while and I've always heard about the series. It sounds really interesting. It's about Disney after dark and crazy magic stuff happens. Or the House by the Cerulean Sea. This one will definitely be read soon. I've heard it's super cozy, and this is by TJ Klune. And then the last one that's on my going to absolutely read soon list is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I just heard it was a fun time to read. So these are my going to read very soon books. So yeah, that is where I'm at. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys like videos like this, please let me know. Feel free to add me on Goodreads. I will leave my link down below. If you haven't checked out my Instagram or my TikTok yet, I will also leave that down below. And let's be friends. If there's any books that you recommend, I'm so open to anything. I'm trying new things. Comment them down below. With that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing, and I guess that's it. So until next time, bibbidi boppity bye.